Iceland for the last few weeks filming his new movie, Oblivion. Apparently, Tom has flown out of Iceland. He's returning home to the U.S. to celebrate his birthday here and maybe to try to work things out with Kate.
For years, Katie Holmes said nothing, not a word. But now, at 45, Katie's finally speaking. And it's not bitter or dramatic. It's honest, it's raw, and it's the kind of truth that makes you pause and wonder what went down between her and Tom Cruise. We're talking Scientology, strict rules, intense surveillance, and a marriage that, according to insiders, felt more like a contract than a romance. In this video, we're diving all the way in. We're not just talking about what Katie said, we're unpacking what she didn't say and why that silence spoke volumes for so many years. The rise of Tomcat. Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes is one of those celebrity love stories that felt like it leapt right out of a movie script, except it was real life, and honestly, a little surreal too. It's April 2005, and Katie Holmes, fresh out of an engagement with Chris Klein, finds herself crossing paths with none other than Tom Cruise. Just weeks after calling it quits with one guy, she ends up chatting with the Tom Cruise. Not just any actor, but the same one she had openly gushed about as a teenager in 17 magazine, saying she used to dream about marrying him. Like, what are the odds? Was it fate? A cosmic joke? Or just plain old Hollywood magic? The story goes that their meeting happened during talks about a possible role for Katie in Mission Impossible 3. But let's be honest, it was more than just a casting conversation. It was the beginning of the romance everyone would be obsessed with. And when they stepped out hand in hand in Rome just a month later, it was like the universe had granted Katie's teenage wish. And not just in some low-key, secretive way. No, Tom flew to Rome to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award. And instead of keeping things under wraps, they made it a whole thing. Why did Katie Holmes run out of her marriage like she was escaping a spy movie? At 45, she's finally talking, and what she says about Tom Cruise and Scientology will leave your jaw on the floor. What was she hiding all these years? What scared her into silence? Sit tight, because this story peels back layers we've never seen before. And trust me, the ending will stun you. On April 27, 2005, they were seen together for the first time publicly. And then, boom, 2 days later, they walked their first red carpet as a couple at the David Di Donatello Awards. Like, can you imagine just ending one engagement and then debuting as the new girlfriend of one of the biggest movie stars on Earth? In Italy, no less. And Katie? She wasn't even trying to hide her excitement. When someone asked about how she felt, she literally said, "When I met Tom, I was completely in love. And yes, I admired him growing up. He's Tom Cruise." I mean, who wouldn't be a little starstruck? This was the man from Top Gun, Jerry Maguire. Mission Impossible. He was the 2000s heartthrob. And now he was her man. Like, for real. Then things just exploded. Not even 2 months after they started dating. 2 months! Tom was down on one knee. But of course, he didn't do it in some basic way. He took her to Paris, and at the freaking Eiffel Tower, at sunrise, mind you, he proposed. That's like the stuff of fairy tales. And the next thing you know, he's at a press conference, smiling like a kid on Christmas morning, saying, "Yes, I proposed to her. It was early this morning at the Eiffel Tower, so I haven't slept at all." Like, who even says that? He was 43, she was 26, and she walked away with a 5-carat yellow diamond ring that cost a cool $1.5 million. And then came baby Suri. She was born on April 8, 2006, and the world lost its mind. Everyone wanted to see her, hear about her, know every little detail. And just a few months later, On November 18, 2006, they went full fairy tale wedding mode. But of course, it wasn't your regular pretty garden wedding. No, they went all out with a $3 million bash at a 15th century Italian castle. That's right. Katie walked down the aisle in a custom Giorgio Armani gown, her dress covered in lace and Swarovski crystals, while Tom wore a navy blue Armani tux. Oh, and did I mention Andrea Bocelli sang at the reception? It was that kind of party. And the guest list? Just casually packed with A-listers like Will and Jada, J-Lo and Mark Anthony, the Beckhams, Jim Carrey, Steven Spielberg, J.J. Abrams. Like, were there even any non-celebrities there? And just to make things even more unique, or maybe just even more Tom Cruise, the whole ceremony was Scientology-themed. Not only that, but Tom chose David Miscavige, the head of the Church of Scientology, as his best man. Katie's sister Nancy was her maid of honor. But, let's be real, all eyes were probably on the connection to Scientology that kept popping up throughout their relationship. People were talking, whispering, questioning. Was this love? Or was there something else going on? But what really made the world stop was that moment on Oprah's couch. Remember that? May 23, 2005. Tom Cruise, high on love, literally jumps up and down on Oprah's couch like a teenager who just got his first kiss. It was wild, unfiltered, and honestly kind of awkward. Oprah even said, "We've never seen you behave this way before." Like, same, Oprah. Same. That clip went viral before going viral was even a thing. People didn't know whether to swoon or cringe. And suddenly, everyone had a theory. Was Tom losing it? Was this a publicity stunt? Was Katie being brainwashed? The media didn't hold back. Magazine covers, talk shows, gossip blogs. It was everywhere. Then came the Vanity Fair photo shoot with baby Suri. Shot by Annie Leibovitz, it was a 22-page spread. Not 2 pages, not 5, 22. That's how obsessed the world was with Tomcat. Their baby was already more famous than most adults. And honestly, no matter how people felt about them, everyone kept watching. You couldn't help it. They were that couple. The public fascination just refused to die down. But like every dramatic Hollywood love story, there was a twist. As much as Tom publicly adored Katie, saying even in a 2012 interview with Playboy that he'd been happy from the moment they met, and that what they had was very special, behind the scenes, cracks were starting to show. The fairy tale started to unravel. By 2012, Katie filed for divorce. Boom, just like that. People were shocked, but also, not really? Like, hadn't there been signs? All those rumors, the Scientology pressure, the intense media scrutiny, it all seemed to catch up with them. The divorce wasn't just a quiet split, either. It turned into this massive custody battle over Suri. And suddenly, the couple that had once looked like the poster children for modern Hollywood romance became just another cautionary tale. Katie, once giddy and glowing, seemed determined to gain control of her life again, especially where her daughter was concerned. And Tom? Well, he went back to making movies, keeping his private life much more under wraps than before. It's kind of wild to look back now and think about how it all started with a teenage crush. One minute Katie Holmes was watching Top Gun, dreaming of marrying Tom Cruise, and the next thing she knew, she was on a private jet to Paris, wearing a $1 million ring, and having Andrea Bocelli sing at her wedding. But in the end, maybe that's the thing about fairy tales. Sometimes they dazzle you so much, you don't see the cracks until the magic fades. And when it fades hard. Scientology's role in the marriage. The moment Katie started dating Tom, it was like she got pulled into this whole other world, almost instantly. And we're not talking about easing into it either. We're talking full immersion. She wasn't just handed a pamphlet or invited to a casual Sunday meeting. No, she was reportedly assigned an actual handler. A woman named Jessica Rodriguez. Yes, a handler. Like some kind of celebrity babysitter / spiritual bodyguard. Jessica was reportedly glued to Katie's side, whether she was doing an interview or posing for photos. It's like she couldn't breathe without someone watching her every move. Doesn't that sound exhausting? And it didn't stop there. Katie was quickly introduced to something called auditing. Now, if you're not familiar, it's this central practice in Scientology where you're hooked up to a device called an e-meter, kind of like a lie detector, but not exactly. Through these sessions, they'd apparently dig into your past lives, your traumas, your every little secret. Katie reportedly went through intense rounds of this. They say it's supposed to help you let go of negative energy, but can you imagine having someone constantly probing into your mind like that? Like, who even knows what she revealed in those sessions? At some point, the church apparently told her she should stop going by Katie and start using Kate instead. Supposedly, Kate sounded stronger and more mature. Isn't that kind of weird? Like, your name is your name, right? It's part of who you are. And suddenly, this organization is like, no, we don't like that name. Let's try something else. That's not just a rebrand. That's like slowly erasing the person she used to be. But perhaps the biggest red flag? The rumors that she had to agree to raise any future kids, yes, even before they were born, as Scientologists. Like, that was reportedly a condition of marrying Tom. According to former Scientology member Mark Headley, that was a non-negotiable. And honestly, that kind of pressure before you've even walked down the aisle? That's heavy. That's not romance. That's strategy. Once they were married, it wasn't just Katie and Tom navigating married life. It was Katie, Tom, and the Church of Scientology. From what former church members have shared, the church had a pretty tight grip on her world. Her phone calls? Allegedly monitored. Her assistants? Said to be Scientologists who reported back to the higher-ups. Even her acting career seemed to take a hit. After getting married, her film roles reportedly dwindled, almost like she was being gently nudged into a more controlled lifestyle. And let's not forget her family. People close to her who weren't on board with Scientology? Yeah, they were reportedly kept at a distance. That's classic control tactic 101. Cut off the outside voices so all you hear is them. And then there's the way she presented herself in public. Whenever she and Tom did joint appearances, former Scientologists claimed she had to be prepped. Like, seriously prepped, coached on exactly what to say and how to talk about Scientology if it came up. That level of control? That's not a partnership. That's a PR operation. Even their household staff, maids, nannies, who knows who else, were allegedly church members planted to keep tabs on everything. But here's where things get even more heartbreaking. Leah Remini, another former Scientologist who's been very vocal about what goes on behind the scenes, said that if Katie had started expressing doubts about Scientology, she risked being labeled a suppressive person. Basically, that's Scientology's version of public enemy number one. And if that happened, the church could have restricted her access to her own daughter. As little Suri got older, Katie reportedly became more and more anxious about what kind of life her daughter would have inside Scientology. Because, let's be real, it wasn't just about Tom and Katie anymore, it was about the next generation. And Scientology has some very specific beliefs when it comes to raising children. One big one is something called study tech, which was created by Scientology's founder, L. Ron Hubbard. It's very different from regular school systems. It focuses more on their philosophy, and Katie was reportedly not okay with that idea for Suri. And then there was Sea Org. This is probably the most chilling part. Sea Org is like the elite inner circle of Scientology, and members have been known to sign contracts that literally last 1 billion years. And there have been claims that children as young as 6 have been sent away from their families to serve in it. While Suri might have had celebrity privileges, Katie reportedly feared what could happen if she didn't toe the line. The idea that her daughter could one day be subjected to those same standards or be taken away for church duties? That's the stuff of nightmares. And don't even get started on the so-called purification processes for kids. Former members have talked about extreme saunas, massive vitamin doses, and other practices that a lot of medical professionals have raised eyebrows at. Kids being security checked, basically interrogated to see if they've done anything against church rules. Katie reportedly looked at all that and said, "No way." And can you blame her? That's what eventually pushed her to do what many people never thought she'd do: leave. Not just leave Tom, but leave the entire church. In 2012, when she filed for divorce, she also reportedly broke ties with Scientology completely. And that is huge. Leaving Scientology isn't like switching gyms or changing religions. It's like escaping from a very powerful system that doesn't like people walking away quietly. It reportedly took months of planning, secrecy, and a whole lot of courage. And yet, she did it anyway. Quietly, boldly, and for her daughter. Was her marriage a love story? Or a mission impossible? Katie Holmes just opened up at 45 about what really went on with Tom Cruise and his deep ties to Scientology. But why now? What secrets has she been keeping all this time? Stick around until the very end, because the most chilling part comes last. And it's not what anyone expected. The secret divorce plan and custody battle. It looked like Katie Holmes just woke up one morning in June 2012, snapped her fingers, and boom. Divorce papers filed, marriage over. Like out of nowhere, right? But oh no, bestie, it was far from a sudden move. Behind all the headlines and shocked expressions from fans, and probably from Tom Cruise himself, Katie was actually pulling off one of the most secretly brilliant escape plans Hollywood has ever seen. And guess who her co-architect was? Her dad. Yes, her dad helped mastermind the whole thing. Can you imagine? So let me tell you, Katie didn't just happen to have the perfect strategy. She had her dad, Martin Holmes, who isn't just any dad. This man has been a practicing attorney since the 70s. And not just in any old field either. He specializes in matrimonial law. Like, divorce stuff is literally his thing. Can you see how this was already starting to lean in Katie's favor? And here's the kicker. Even though Martin had publicly praised Tom Cruise during the marriage, calling him a humanitarian and all that polite press-friendly fluff, behind the scenes, he was starting to smell that something wasn't quite right. Word is, he was becoming more and more suspicious of Cruise and his whole Scientology vibe. You know when a parent just knows something's off? That's what this was. And when the time came, he was ready. Martin flew in from Ohio to be by Katie's side and help orchestrate everything. That wasn't a casual fatherly visit. That was a full-blown mission. People close to the situation even said he was her rock during those final months leading up to the divorce. And trust me, this wasn't just dad giving advice over coffee. Martin was calling shots. Another lawyer who worked with him once said, "It's his way or the highway." And honestly, in a moment like this, that kind of tough, no-nonsense mindset probably saved Katie from getting swallowed up in Cruz's world. Now, let's talk about the divorce itself. Because, girl, when I tell you it was fast, I mean lightning speed. Just 10 days. That's almost unheard of in Hollywood. Celeb divorces usually drag on forever, with lawyers going back and forth, media leaks, dramatic court appearances, all the mess. But Katie's was wrapped up before the ink on the headlines was even dry. Why? Because Sis had planned it for months in advance. Like, who even thinks of this stuff? She had a burner phone, no joke. A disposable cell phone that a friend gave her, which she used to talk to her lawyers so Tom wouldn't catch on. That's spy-level stuff. She had already leased a new apartment in Manhattan before she even filed. Like, she wasn't about to file those papers and then figure things out. No, she already had her exit pad ready to go. Not only that, she fired the security guards and drivers who were loyal to Tom. Can you imagine trying to plan a secret move while you're literally surrounded by people who report back to your husband? Katie said, "No, not today," and cleared the house. She even hired 3 separate law firms in 3 different states, just in case. I mean, who does that? A woman on a mission, that's who. And guess what? That prenup? That airtight prenup that made everything move faster than a gossip tweet? Yeah, her dad helped with that too. It was rock solid, and when the time came, it kept the money stuff simple so she could focus on what really mattered to her. Suri. Speaking of Suri, let's talk about how Katie secured full custody of her daughter, because that was clearly her top priority. She knew what she was doing, trust me. Instead of filing in California, where joint custody is almost always the default, she filed in New York. Why? Because New York courts tend to dislike giving joint custody to parents who are clearly at odds. Basically, if you file in New York and you can prove that the parents are not on the same page, especially about major things like religion, lifestyle, or education, you've got a much better shot at sole custody. And Katie wasn't about to leave anything to chance when it came to her child. She asked for legal custody, primary residential custody, and child support. And she got it. Tom got visitation, sure, but Katie got to make the big decisions. And the icing on the cake? There were reportedly provisions in the agreement that said Suri wouldn't be exposed to Scientology. Now, if that's not clear boundary setting, I don't know what is. Katie wasn't just trying to get out of a marriage, she was protecting her daughter from what she saw as a potentially harmful influence. And the money? Tom was ordered to pay around $400,000 a year in child support. But honestly, it never seemed like money was her motivation. From the outside, it looked like Katie was focused on freedom, safety, and giving her daughter a normal, stable life. And the most interesting part? Tom had no clue. He was literally in Iceland filming when the divorce news hit. That's how clean Katie's exit was. She didn't scream. She didn't do interviews trashing him. She didn't make it messy. She just vanished, lawyered up, and filed those papers like a woman who had done all her homework and wasn't looking back. Why Katie stayed quiet. So here's the thing. Katie Holmes didn't just decide to go radio silent after that whirlwind divorce from Tom Cruise. It's not like she woke up one morning and thought, you know what? I'm just going to keep my mouth shut forever about my marriage, my ex-husband, and everything I went through. Number that silence? It was carefully, and I mean carefully, orchestrated. And not by coincidence either. The woman was legally bound. Apparently, part of Katie's divorce settlement included terms that didn't just say, don't talk. It said, don't whisper, don't hint, don't even blink in a way that might suggest something about Tom or Scientology. According to sources close to the situation, Katie agreed not to say a word about Tom's personal life, and not a single syllable about his controversial religion, Scientology. Think about how strict that must have been. One source even put it bluntly: confidentiality was the key. If Katie hadn't signed up to remain silent, it could have become a very messy legal battle. And that tracks, because have you ever noticed how not even a stray sentence has slipped from her lips about what really happened behind closed doors? Like, not once. You've got to wonder, what kind of stuff did she see or go through that required that level of secrecy? And get this legal gag order didn't just cover what she could say. Oh no, it allegedly also dipped into her love life. Like, who she dated, when, and even if she could introduce anyone to her daughter, Suri. Sounds invasive? That's because it is. According to some reports, Katie had to agree to a 5-year period where she wouldn't publicly date anyone or let any romantic partners meet Suri. Can you even imagine that? You finally escape a high-control marriage, and then you're told, cool, but no dating, at least not in public. And if you're thinking that's a little extreme, you're not alone. That so-called clause may have seriously affected her relationship with Jamie Foxx. Remember when people were whispering about them being together, but they never officially confirmed it? They were spotted together for years, always low-key, always dodging the cameras like pros. And now we kind of get why. Katie literally couldn't go public with him, legally. Then there's Leah Remini. Oh man, Leah does not hold back. She's one of the few people who's openly called out what she believes is happening behind the scenes. In an interview, she didn't mince words. I keep wondering, why haven't Katie Holmes or Nicole Kidman spoken out? And you can feel the frustration in that question, can't you? She went on to say she assumes they were made to sign prohibitive documents, which honestly doesn't sound like a wild theory at all at this point. Leah even got personal about it. She said Katie isn't allowed to have lunch with her anymore, and that they used to be friends. Imagine that. You used to laugh and chat with someone, and now they're legally not allowed to be seen having a sandwich with you. Leah went as far as saying that if Katie broke these rules, she could lose custody of Suri. Let that sink in. Being seen with the wrong person, or saying the wrong thing, could cost her her daughter. That's a level of pressure most of us can't even fathom. At the end of the day, Katie Holmes didn't just leave Tom Cruise, she escaped a system that many say is nearly impossible to break free from. And the fact that she's still standing, still smiling, still holding on to her daughter with both hands, that says everything. Was Katie Holmes married to Tom Cruise, or trapped in a role she never auditioned for? At 45, she's finally revealing what happened behind closed doors. And what she says about Scientology is something no one dared whisper before. Get comfy, because the last part of her story is the most shocking, and you'll want to hear every word. At 45, Katie Holmes finally breaks silence. You know how some people just quietly go about their business, stay low-key for years, never say a word, no matter what's being said about them? That's literally been Katie Holmes for more than a decade. Like, this woman has mastered the art of silence, especially when it comes to her ex-husband Tom Cruise and, well, everything connected to him, including that big elephant in the room, Scientology. She's been quiet for so long, people kind of just assumed she was never going to break that silence. But then, out of nowhere in December 2023, she finally did speak up. Well, not about Scientology directly, but it was still loud and clear in its own way. And girl, it was spicy, in a Katie Holmes kind of way. So here's what went down. The Daily Mail ran this flashy headline like they always do: Suri Cruise the Millionaire. Tom Cruise's trust fund has kicked in, and mom Katie Holmes has one for her too. Basically implying Suri, who just turned 18 and started college at Carnegie Mellon, is sitting on piles of money from Tom and Katie. Now, for someone like Katie, who has spent years protecting her daughter from public scrutiny, this was clearly the last straw. She didn't just ignore it like she usually does. Oh no. She went on Instagram, grabbed a screenshot of the article, and slapped on some bold, direct text. Completely false. And Daily Mail, you can stop making stuff up. And if that wasn't enough, she captioned the post with one mic drop word: enough. I mean, enough. Doesn't that word just hit different when it comes from someone who almost never speaks out? But wait, it gets even better. Right before she posted that fiery call out, Katie had already shared a meme on her Instagram stories. It said, "Don't believe everything you read on the internet," and jokingly attributed it to William Shakespeare. Isn't that such a subtle but clever jab? Like, who knew Katie had meme-level shade in her? Now, what's really fascinating is why she decided to speak up now, after all this time. It's not like the tabloids haven't been writing nonsense for years. But this was about her daughter. And as any mom would know, there's a certain line that, once you cross it, Mama Bear mode gets activated. Holmes responded to someone in the comments and said something like, "I don't want a target on my child's back. It's dangerous." And honestly, can you blame her? Especially in today's world, where every single move can be dissected, twisted, and reposted 1,000,000 times. It makes sense that she's protective. And this isn't even the first time she's hinted at this side of her. In a Glamour interview back in 2023, she talked about how important it's been for her to shield Suri from the spotlight, especially because she was so visible from such a young age. Remember how Suri was basically the most photographed child in the world for a hot minute? Paparazzi were literally chasing a toddler. So yes, Katie's always had that protective instinct, but she's usually just dealt with it privately. That's what makes this moment such a big deal, because she finally said something. And you could just feel that she'd had enough of the nonsense. And let's be real, Katie's silence all these years has always spoken volumes. Everyone has speculated about her reasons, but deep down, we kind of always knew she was trying to shield Suri from the chaos. After all, leaving Tom Cruise, allegedly without warning, and with a whole legal team on standby, was a chess move if there ever was one. And she's continued that energy, moving quietly, working steadily, and putting her daughter first. With this, we have come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do well to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. To enjoy more thrilling stories, click now on the following video that pops up on your screen.